Our story takes place at a magic academy, where there's a bright young boy named Alto. He's a genius in all subjects except for summoning. One day, a teacher tells him that he must summon and form a contract with a magical companion called a familiar to graduate. Feeling desperate, Alto goes to the library to find information on how to summon a familiar. While he's in the library, an old dusty book falls onto his head. He thinks it might be a book about summoning, and when he takes it home, he discovers that it indeed contains information about summoning. With the book's guidance, Alto manages to summon something incredible. It turns out to be a beautiful demon named Vermeil. She explains that she has been trapped in the book for a very long time and thanks Alto for setting her free. Alto then surprises Vermeil by asking her to be his familiar. They form a magical bond that seals their connection permanently. Afterward, Vermeil kisses her new master and takes some of his mana, magical energy, from him. She tells Alto that she'll gladly serve him and do whatever he asks, but his only request is for her to put on some clothes, which he finds quite distracting. Once she's dressed, Vermeil explains to Alto that to maintain her physical form, she'll need to occasionally take some mana from him by kissing him. Vermeil also explains to Alto that his mana is incredibly powerful, which is why no other magical creature wanted to form a contract with him. Since most humans have a strong dislike for demons, they decide it's best to pretend that Vermeil is a regular human woman. She uses her magic to hide her demonic features. Alto takes Vermeil to school the next day, but his professor tells him that he can't have a human as a familiar. However, a closer look at Vermeil's chest reveals the bond mark, and the professor has no choice but to give Alto a passing grade. In class, Vermeil acts clingy and teases Alto a lot, which greatly embarrasses him. Meanwhile, Lilia, Alto's childhood friend, watches this and becomes incredibly jealous. After class, she challenges Alto to a duel. If he loses, he's not allowed to bring Vermeil to school anymore. But if Lilia loses, she'll have to do anything Alto says. Lilia gets excited at the thought and begins to imagine what naughty things Alto might make her do if she loses. The duel begins, and Lilia summons her familiar before launching a tornado attack at Alto and his demon companion, Vermeil. However, Vermeil effortlessly blocks her attack. The duel is being broadcast to the entire school using magical screens. With a menacing demeanor, Vermeil announces that it's now her turn to attack. Vermeil uses her magic to make Lilia so aroused that she surrenders, even though she lost the duel. Lilia is still excited about the idea of doing anything Alto wants, but he surprises her by saying that he just wants her to become friends with his familiar. Both girls agree, even though they clearly don't like each other. Afterward, Alto and Vermeil head back home. Vermeil explains that being trapped in the book for so long has weakened her a lot, and she'll need to regularly drain his mana to regain her full strength. She mentions a more efficient way to do it, but Alto prefers sticking to kissing. The next day, Vermeil attracts a lot of unwanted attention at school, making Alto somewhat infamous. Later that day, Alto is confronted by Rex, an upperclassman, and a member of the Dragon Riders Club, which is for people with dragon familiars. Rex challenges Alto and Vermeil to a duel because Vermeil flicked his little brother's dragon on the head and sent it flying earlier. Rex suggests that they can avoid the fight if they apologize and give him some alone time with Vermeil. Alto refuses and stands in front of Vermeil to protect her, surprising her. Rex summons his gigantic dinosaur familiar and sends it charging toward Alto. However, Vermeil supercharges Alto's mana, allowing him to defeat the dinosaur with his crystal magic. After losing, Rex surprisingly admits that Alto and Vermeil won fair and square. Rex apologizes for harassing them and goes on his way. Back at home, Alto shares his dream with Vermeil. He wants to become one of the world's most exceptional mages. She promises to support him and make his dreams come true. The next day, they meet their friends Marx and Cheryl. Cheryl embraces Alto and congratulates him on his victory against an upperclassman. Mark sees Alto as a rival. The 3 best students in their grade are called to the headmaster's office to decide who will be the next class representative. Surprisingly, it turns out that Mark's is not the smartest one. It's his maid, Cheryl. The headmaster tells them that whoever can retrieve a rare flower from the enchanted forest before 6 p.m. will become the class representative. As they race towards the flower, Mark's is knocked out by a man-eating plant, and Cheryl tends to him while the others continue. They encounter a 3-headed dog blocking the path. Lilia drinks an invisibility potion, but it doesn't hide her clothes, so she has to strip in front of Alto, which embarrasses her even though he can't see her. While Lilia goes on ahead, Vermeil pins Alto down, unbuttons his shirt, and drains his mana behind the bushes. The story takes an unexpected turn, but then Vermeil knocks out the beast with a powerful spell, allowing Lilia to grab the rare flower. When Lilia returns with the flower, she hands it over to Alto because she believes he truly deserves it. However, the invisibility potion wears off, and Lilia becomes visible again. In her embarrassment, she drops the flower, and it blows away, landing right at Cheryl's feet. Cheryl picks up the flower just as the bell rings to signify the end of the trial. Cheryl is declared victorious and becomes the next class representative. She doesn't feel like she earned it, but Lily and Alto reassure her that she won fairly. In the next episode, it's revealed that the student council members are the most powerful mages at the school, and even the professors can't oppose them, which is a common theme in many anime. One of these powerful mages is Chris, the leader of the Dragon Riders Club. She punishes Rex for losing to an underclassman and for having a dinosaur as a familiar instead of a dragon. Chris has Rex's blood on her shoe from kicking him and demands that he lick it clean, saying that she might let him stay in the Dragon Riders Club if he does. Rex tells her off, and she beats him so badly that he has to go to the school infirmary. Alto, Vermeil, and Lilia arrive to check on Rex, but he tells them not to worry, and that it's not their fault. Angered by the situation, Alto challenges Chris to a duel. As the fight begins, Chris summons her mighty dragon, while Alto kisses Vermeil in front of all the spectators, including Lilia, to channel as much power as possible. During their duel, Chris notices a golden mana surrounding Alto and Vermeil, which surprises her as it seems rare and possibly powerful. She's impressed by Alto's power, but what really astonishes her is how Alto's supposedly human familiar is able to block all her fireballs. Chris flies into the sky on the back of her dragon and starts raining down fireballs on the duo. She boasts about dragons being the most powerful creatures in existence, and that only the most powerful mages can form a contract with them. To her, everyone else is just weak insects. While in mid-fight, Vermeil supercharges Alto's mana once more, shocking Chris, who didn't expect Alto to have so much mana left. Chris shoots one more fireball toward the demon and her master, but Alto summons a gigantic crystal pillar. Both spells head toward each other, and the duo leaps up to Chris. Alto holds a crystal shard to her throat, forcing her to surrender and ultimately winning the duel. Following his victory, Alto becomes very popular with the ladies at school, which only fuels his childhood friend's jealousy. However, Professor Obsidian lectures Alto about not taking duels lightly. After losing the duel, Chris decides to do her own chores from now on and apologizes to Rex for how she treated him. Later on, Vermeil tries to seduce Alto again, but he tells her that people should only kiss someone they love. Vermeil confesses her love for him, leaving Alto troubled. He consults Professor Obsidian about human-demon relationships, and the professor warns that demons are typically destructive creatures who only want humans for their mana. Alto confronts Vermeil about this, but she proves herself by kissing him without draining his mana. Elsewhere, Professor Obsidian seduces a student named Emma and injects her with a mysterious substance, leaving her frozen in ice. She is eventually rescued but remains in a coma. The student council discusses the recent attacks on students, with Emma being the third victim. Later, the class is assigned to write reports on their familiars, leading Alto to reluctantly measure Vermeil's body. Jealous Lilia spies on them, using the invisibility potion, which requires her to remove all her clothes. Inadvertently, Alto brushes up against a naked Lilia without noticing, leaving her in pure bliss. On his report, Alto lists Vermeil's likes, including sweets, but Vermeil adds something about Alto. Meanwhile, a seemingly possessed Rex and his mutated dinosaur beat up Chris and her dragon. In a flashback, it's revealed that a young Rex summoned his dinosaur as an egg, and Chris helped him hatch it, thinking it was a dragon egg. Back in the present, Vermeil embarrasses Alto by showing affection in public. Rex's brother arrives to beg them for help, as Rex continues to beat up Chris, withstanding her fire spells and undergoing body mutations. When Alto and Vermeil arrive, Rex expresses a desire for revenge on Alto, but the student council president, Elena, knocks Rex and his dinosaur out cold with her sword, destroying their various growths in the process. Afterward, Chris watches over Rex in the infirmary. Later that day, Vermeil meets with Professor Obsidian and confronts him about the attacks on students, urging him to stop. However, Professor Obsidian suddenly injects her with the same mysterious substance from earlier, causing her pain and making her release dark energy. Everyone senses this evil energy, and Elena rushes to the scene. Elena, blocked by a monster summoned by Professor Obsidian, battles the creature as Alto rushes to the scene. He arrives just in time to witness Vermeil transforming into an uncontrollable monster, while Professor Obsidian gloats about his actions. Elena struggles to defeat Professor Obsidian's regenerating monster. Professor Obsidian wraps a magic chain around Vermeil's neck to control her, revealing that he had been attacking people and injecting them with demon essence to try to turn them into demons. Now he has a real demon under his control. However, Vermeil suddenly breaks free from the chain and attacks Obsidian. In her rage, she impales Alto on her claws. She attempts to attack Obsidian again, but Alto manages to block her and begs her not to kill them before collapsing in front of her. Vermeil then returns to her normal form and heals Alto. Professor Obsidian freaks out, realizing that demons are not supposed to have healing abilities. He injects himself with his own formula and transforms into a hideous demon, vowing to kill them all. However, Vermeil effortlessly punches a hole right through him. Terrified, he tries to fly away, but Chris shoots him down, and Vermeil knocks him out. Meanwhile, the monster Elena was fighting retreats. Professor Obsidian is arrested, and all his victims wake up from their comas. Later, Vermeil sadly explains to Alto that in order to heal them, she had linked their life forces together. So if one of them dies, the other will die as well. Vermeil becomes distant and tells Alto to stay away from her because her monster form is her true self. However, Alto doesn't care and kisses her, leaving her flustered. If you'd like to see part 2, please subscribe and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.